Bird photography in the winter months can be a challenge, particularly in the forest. As the weather turns cold and snowy, the small birds merge into large flocks, foraging and moving around the forest in search for food. Join me as I head out into a beautiful pine and hardwood forest to try to find and photograph these small birds, and find some surprises along the way. If you're new to my channel, my name is Todd DeWald and I'm a full-time wildlife and conservation photographer in beautiful New England. It is my goal to take you along to explore the amazing diversity of wildlife that call this area home, sharing with you my education to make us all better naturalists and better photographers. It is my hope that my videos will spark an interest in the wildlife in your area, so that together, through photography, we can preserve the natural places that remain. Consider subscribing to my channel to learn more, and thank you for watching. Well, it is cold out this morning. It was about 7 degrees Fahrenheit this morning driving in, and we had snow a couple of days ago. But it's been so cold that it hasn't melted. So I was actually out as it was snowing the other day, but I wasn't happy. I couldn't find any wildlife. Everything seemed to have hunkered down as soon as it started snowing, and I wasn't really happy with much of the other nature or landscape footage I was able to get, so I was kind of disappointed. But I wanted to come out today because there's still snow on the ground and there's still going to be some activity out. And even if I don't find anything today, I want to try to get some nature and landscape footage for the upcoming habitat series I'm making, and I want to take advantage of the snow on the ground. So I'm just going to be walking through. There's already been some activity with nuthatches and tufted titmice, and I heard a pileated woodpecker hammering on a tree over here in the forest somewhere. So there's still plenty of activity, but it's a beautiful morning out. A little cold, but it's a beautiful morning. As I've been walking past here on the trail, we kind of have a sloping downhill on either side of the trail, and I've noticed that all of the activity has been on the right side, which is the side that the sun is on, and melting a little bit of the snow in the leaves, so the birds are actually kind of foraging down low and in the hemlocks that are in the sun, probably to keep them warm too. So I'm going to get set up. I'm going to actually put my teleconverter on, because they're all of the small chickadees, kinglets, nuthatches, small birds. I'm not sure if I'm going to have any success at this because I'm going to make so much noise getting down there towards them. I'm just going to see what we can do. I had to swap my gloves out because I had full mittens on and I couldn't work the camera because I just couldn't get the dials to move. So these ones are fingerless. Hopefully they don't freeze. Everything is just frozen solid, so every step you take is a crunch. Kind of went on an angle towards them. Obviously you don't want to go straight at where the birds are now, because you're never going to be able to get close to them. If you go straight at something, they're going to move, they're going to leave, they're going to be worried that, hey, you're a predator coming after me. So I kind of went down on a diagonal in their direction, but also away from them at the same time. So now I'm kind of level with them where they were on the hill, and now I'm just going to kind of sit and wait and see if they come back over this way. The thing about this time of year is you either have a lot of birds in one location or there's not many birds at all in the forest. And that's because the birds end up flocking together. So you have a lot of different species all in one spot, all in one flock. And it's both a safety measure for the birds, but it's also helps them find food better. So if you have more eyes looking for food, chances are you're going to find it. And the same thing holds true for predator detection. So if you have more people looking around, chances are you're going to find that predator sooner, rather than if you're just out in the forest by yourself. So that's what these birds do. So it's really interesting to see kind of the flocks and how they move about and how they work, because you'll end up having kind of kinglets and tufted titmice and chickadees in one area, and then you're going to have kind of the nuthatches kind of move in after them, and then the woodpeckers will be kind of interspersed in there as well. So it's really neat to see, and then juncos will be on the ground. But it can be really frustrating this time of year, because you can be walking through the forest and be absolutely nothing, completely quiet, no birds, and then all of a sudden you have like a flock of like 50 birds all in one spot, and they just move around the forest and just kind of rotate around looking for food. So it's one thing to keep in mind when you're walking through and it's like, there's nothing in this forest. Absolutely no birds, there's nothing. No, there are. They're just in a mass moving around, and you just might have missed their flock that day. But I'm just going to sit here and try to see if they come back. There's a brook down to my right, and I'm going to continue down this hill if they don't come over, and end up following the brook along. I actually hear flowing water down there, which is nice, and that might be a good spot to follow anyway, because flowing water is going to be probably a little bit hard to come by right now, so there might be some activity down that way. There's a small flock of tufted titmice right in front of me. They kind of swooped in over. They're all foraging low on the ground to get acorns. I'm just trying to keep my hand warm enough I can actually use my camera. And not fall downhill. Well, I left the area where the tufted titmice were. They kind of moved on and away from me. And then I came down along a game trail that had been used somewhat recently. The leaves had been all kind of kicked up, so there wasn't any snow on it, so you could clearly see something walked on it. And I was following that for a little while. But then I came along this, which I think looks pretty nice. Everything is frozen in here, so I'm going to try to take some nature shots of the ice, and have some coffee and try to warm up a little bit. Oh yeah, this is nice. I needed this. It's amazing how quickly your fingertips freeze when they're just exposed to the cold like this. I got so cold photographing those tufted titmouse that I just couldn't even feel the dials anymore on the camera. But just sitting here, looking around, I mean, I can see signs of activity. So the trail I was on was right up on that hill up there. And just over here, take a look at this. You can see this is fresh. These are fresh marks from deer. Clawing things up with their antlers, knocking off these branches here. There's a branch knocked off here. It's just all of these scrapings from the bark that just get taken off. And there's actually some old beaver activity over on that tree down there. You can see the bottom was chewed off. That's not anywhere recent, but it's pretty neat. I mean, just looking around, you can see, start to pick out things and start to piece together what actually might be happening here when I'm not here. But coffee's good. So this is really cool. So following this stream for a while now, I was walking down over this way, and actually you can see, I don't know if you can see or not, but over there is a beaver dam. And all over through here, all of these little saplings here, a couple of them have been gnawed, and really recently they've been cut. So take a look. So this one, there's these ones up here, a whole bunch more over there, and that's recent. So that's really awesome. So that explains why the water level is so high, but that also just shows how important beaver are. So they're ecosystem engineers, because just like you can see, they engineer what they need. So they need water to survive, and so they built this dam to flood out, raise the water level, flood things out so they can get to these saplings better. And it's just really awesome. It's really awesome that they're here. And now, yeah, maybe in the spring or so when they're a lot more active, this might be a good spot to come and maybe get some beaver shots. But it's so cool. You never know what you're gonna find. But I mean, this whole section it's still flowing here, and it goes down through this little gorge here. But all of that is all flooded out, all the way up to the banks over there. I was just sitting here getting my stuff organized after looking at the beaver dam, and a little flock of golden crowned kinglets just came and like surrounded me, and I was trying to get some photos of them. I don't know if I got anything good. I'm gonna have to look back on the computer. It's easier to see. I mean, I think I got some. They fly and usually forage on hemlocks, so they like the little needles of hemlocks. They get the little insects and stuff off the hemlocks, the needles, and so they usually fly up to the hemlocks, and then they end up kind of hovering almost at the edge of the needles and plucking things off the edge of the needles. And they do it pretty often. So I was trying to capture them as they were doing that, and I think I got a couple. They're probably not the best. I have a love-hate relationship with these birds. They're so cool. They're so awesome. They have like a racing stripe down the top of their head that's like an orangish yellow, and they're just a cute little fluff ball, but they are so fast. I mean, I think they're faster than warblers. So they're really hard to photograph, and especially since they're around hemlocks, you have all these little needles, all these little branches, and it's really hard for the camera to pick them out and actually focus on them. So there's a lot of out of focus shots. You end up having to hand hold the camera, because it's really hard to keep your camera on a tripod and actually move quick enough. So I end up hand holding. But we'll see. We'll see if we get back to when we get back to the computer, see if we have any good shots. If we do, I'll share them with you. But yeah. Whew. there's some tracks in the sandbar down here. I'm not sure what they are. Maybe possum? They look bigger than possum though, so I'm not sure. Let's see if I can get a better picture of them. Raccoon maybe? I don't know. They have 5 toes. They're kind of spread out like a hand, so I'll have to look it up when I get home. I haven't had much sign of anything in a little while. Found a fresher deer track that's been used in the past 2 days since it snowed, but not much else since that. So and continue on down along this brook. Just enjoy the sounds of the water. It's definitely warming up a little bit. The water is moving more freely, so. But I mean, it's just, look at this. Can't beat it. These logs that cross these brooks are great spots to look because they're often used as bridges to cross the brook. And this one has tracks all over it. I think it's the same ones that I saw on the sandbar. But I mean, it's just a good spot to cross so you don't have to get wet. Go right over. There's all sorts of these down trees over this brook, so they could be crossing anywhere. And I just don't know, I'm not sure what print it is, what animal it would be. But it's really neat to see. Obviously there's things out here. Just because it's freezing out doesn't mean things aren't going about their day. So, awesome. I've been walking around through the woods for the past 2 or 3 hours, not finding much of anything. And then all of a sudden I come to this section and there's just birds everywhere. There's a pair of Carolina wrens. There's tufted titmouse all up in the trees. Some nuthatches. Always have to stay ready because you never know what you're going to come across. It's like what I said earlier, there's just, this time of year, there's just nothing with bird activity, and then all of a sudden they're just all in one spot. What a nice way to end the day, potentially. It's getting pretty dark now. The sun goes down so quick. I still have a little ways to hike out. The birds are still all around, but I'm going to start making my way out. It's just so nice to find a nice flock that's really cooperative. I hope I got some nice images based on the camera. Back on the camera, it looks good. We'll see what happens when we get back to the computer. But I'm going to hike out, and I'm actually going to end up going towards a field, and I'm hoping maybe there'll be some deer out on the field. So I'm going to pack up and head out that way. I'm just going to end it here. If I find anything in the field, I'll add it to the end. But thank you so much for joining me today. Hope you enjoyed. It's hard this time of year to find things, but I mean, you can see just kind of out of nowhere I found that small flock of birds. I got some nice images, and I was happy to bring you along. So thank you for joining me, and I will see you next time.